with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Commissioner Eggenberger, would you please call the roll?
Sure. Commissioner Cruz. Here. Commissioner Eggenberger, here. Commissioner Foster has given prior notice that she will not be here. Commissioner Janowski.
Here.
Commissioner Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Singh has also given previous notice that he will not be here, as has Commissioner Watkins. Commissioner Weber.
Here.
And Chairperson Zuber.
Here, thank you. All right, we have minutes from April 21st. I'm entertaining motion to approve those.
So moved.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Lee. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. And we also have minutes from May 5th.
Move to approve.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Lee and support by Commissioner Weber. And any further discussion? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, and I failed to note that we have Patrick Sloan and Zach Michelle and from the Township Planning Office, as well as Courtney Agrusa, who is our counsel. Thank you. All right, moving right along. Is there anything to add or delete from the agenda, Patrick?
No changes to the agenda this evening.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone want to make a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve.
Or accept the agenda, I guess, technically. Thank you. All right, we
Second.
have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Lee. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, very good. Patrick, you forwarded a whole lot of communications. I guesstimated probably like 120 letters or so. I don't know. Did you guys count them?
I've not counted yet, no.
Okay.
Didn't have time to count, but
Okay.
we got through what we could.
Yes. Okay. Other than that, anything to report?
No additional communications.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, we have a public comment period, and what this is intended for is if you are here to discuss anything besides any of the items that are on our agenda this evening that have a public hearing. So in other words, the only item that we have a public hearing for this evening is the Muslim Educational Community Center of America, MECA. So if you're here in support or against that, please hold your comments. We will have a public comment period specifically just for that project. If you'd like to say anything else that you'd like us to be aware of or talk about for a few minutes, we have a public comment period. So if you have anything to say, could you please raise your hand before going to the podium? I don't see any public comments. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you for being my extra set of eyes. All right, very good. So we'll close the public comment period, or we didn't officially open it because we don't need to, it's part of the agenda. So moving right along, we're gonna move to public hearings. Our one and only public hearing this evening is for item number 031-SLU-8295. That is the Muslim Educational Community Center of America, MECA. We are considering special land use on parcel number 031-99-0007-000. That is also known as 6200 North Ridge Road. Property is located on the east side of North Ridge Road between Ford and Hanford Roads. And this is proposed new construction for a religious institution. Patrick, please tell us all about it.
Sure, thank you. The proposal by MECA is to construct a mosque on the parcel on the east side of North Ridge Road at 6200 North Ridge Road, which is located between Ford and Hanford Road. And the map on the screen here illustrates where the parcel is located. The parcel is almost 11.5 acres, and along Ridge Road on the east side. Ridge Road is a paved road under the jurisdiction of Wayne County. And on the site itself, on the western part of the site, there's a single-family residence that would be proposed for demolition as part of the project. And on the east side of the site, Fellows Creek runs through the east side of the site, which I'll zoom into in a moment. And it converges with another branch of Fellows Creek in this heavily wooded area on the east side of the site. Looking at some of the plans that you received in the packet, they illustrate the layout of the proposed mosque building as well as the surrounding parking area and the landscaping. And the plan that I want to focus on here is the aerial photo that's provided with the plan overlaid. Most of the plan pages, they zoom in on the western part of the parcel, which is the developed part of the parcel, and a lot of them exclude the eastern part just to save space on the page and get scaling. So on this page, the parcel lines are a little difficult to see. The northern line, it's a black line that goes through the wooded area here. The southern lot line is a little bit easier to see. And then the eastern lot line is east of Fellows Creek, and it abuts the residential neighborhood to the east. And so on this parcel, roughly the western half is proposed for development, and roughly the eastern half is proposed to be preserved. Part of that is the nature of the natural areas, and delineated here in the light white lines here are the banks of the Fellows Creek, or the estimated banks of the Fellows Creek. And it shows where north of the subject property on the neighboring properties to the north, Fellows Creek runs west to east. And then on the subject Mecca property, the creek turns and goes southward. And then there's another branch of the creek that converges east of the site. So the way the site is designed, it's designed to be outside of the minimum setbacks from Fellows Creek, outside of the minimum wetland setbacks, and it's designed to minimize the impact on tree removal and natural features impact by concentrating the development on the western side of the site. And some of those areas we'll get into in a little bit in terms of the applicable zoning ordinance standards. Going through our review letter, I'll just hit some of the highlights in terms of the topic-based items that we reviewed. The proposed mosque building meets the setback requirements of the R1 zoning district and the use requirements that are in Article 6 of the zoning ordinance. The proposed building will be 114 feet from the northern lot line, 92.5 feet from the southern lot line, and almost 730 feet from the eastern lot line. So the proposed setbacks for the building far exceed the minimum standards of the zoning ordinance. For the building height, the ordinance allows a max building height of 35 feet, and the main building is 34 feet. The ordinance allows for an addition of up to 20 feet for architectural features. There's a proposed dome that goes to 65 feet, which is 10 feet higher than permitted by the zoning ordinance. This is an item that is more appropriately addressed at the time of site plan review, which will take place if the proposed special land use is approved. So the height of the building is more of a site plan related item. It's not a decision that would be made at special land use review, but we have included some comments to the applicant about that during our internal staff reviews on that. So ultimately the decision, once the project gets to site plan review, is the applicant can lower the height to 55 feet and be conforming with the architectural features, or the applicant may apply for a variance. So that'll be a decision that the applicant would make at the time of site plan review. For the next topic is access management and traffic impact. The site layout shows a dedicated northbound right turn lane. I'll zoom in here a little bit so we can see it. The site layout shows a dedicated northbound right turn lane for both driveways and a southbound bypass lane for the left turns into the southern driveway. The northern driveway has separate exit lanes for the right and the left turns, but allows only right turns inbound. So as we see on the northern drive here, the only inbound trips are coming from the south. That allows for any inbound trips or coming from the north. That northern drive would only service for inbound. For anyone coming southbound, if they want to turn into the site, they would have to turn into the southern drive, which that allows, as it's designed, more stacking space so that the passing flare can be used. The southern driveway has separate exit lanes for right and left turns also, and it allows both right and left turns inbound. There's a southbound passing lane proposed on the west side of North Ridge, and a dedicated right turn proposed on the east side of North Ridge Road. The applicant has provided a letter from Wayne County Department of Public Services approving the road geometrics. However, the letter also states that Wayne County reserves the right for any changes during its engineering review. So I'm not sure if there's been an engineering review by Wayne County to give final approval, but they've given some preliminary indications in their initial letter. The traffic study presented by the applicant is something that our traffic engineering consultant and our engineering services division have spent a lot of time reviewing and refining just to make sure that the information in there is consistent. The 2029 build conditions on page 27 of the study show reductions in the level of service and a level of service of E or F at the peak times at the intersection of Ford Road and Ridge Road. However, the proposed signal timing mitigation that is proposed in the traffic study on page 27 shows improvements to the level of service and the delay times in several areas. And although table 7.1 shows some areas of the intersection at level of service E during those AM and PM peak times, the proposed signal timing with the proposed development improves the level of service and/or reduces the delay times compared to the 2029 background. The 2029 background conditions are a no-build condition, so that analysis is looked at as what the impact or what the level of traffic will be at the intersection if the mosque is not built. So that gives a little bit of a baseline of what the future traffic will be at that intersection. And then what the traffic study does is it puts on top of that 2029 background the anticipated traffic impact from the land use, and then it determines what the level of service changes are and any delay increases. The only increase in delay based on the mitigation is during the AM peak time, the 2029 background, I think the delay increases by about 1 second. The mitigation proposed at Ford and Ridge is for retiming of the signals to allow for more movement, particularly for northbound and southbound Ridge. And with that additional 1 second of delay based on the mitigation, I won't say it's insignificant, but we would probably see more of a delay if the site were developed for single-family residential units that use a lot of that peak time AM and PM period traffic more. Wade Trim is Canton Township's traffic engineering consultant, and they've reviewed the traffic impact study. They emailed their comments on May 18th, and they formalized that in a letter which we included in the packet. We updated the packet last Friday, included the letter, which reads much like the email did. The times of most concern for our traffic engineer were the Friday afternoons during the prayer time, which is outside of the PM peak hours. And Wade Trim's analysis concludes that by adjusting the signal timing by 6 seconds as proposed in the traffic study, the intersection of Ford Road and Ridge Road would have acceptable level of service during the prayer time on Friday. MDOT also provided some comments on March 25th of 2025 and stated that the signals operations unit agrees with the optimization of the split times at the subject intersection. And on April 8th of this year, MDOT's utility and permit technician wrote that the timing of the signal would be done once development is complete and traffic volumes change. And this is something that's typical of road agencies where the traffic impact study, it has modeling and tends to be more theoretical. So it's informative in terms of what mitigation measures are available and what traffic impact is likely to be. But the road agencies often won't go and adjust signal timing until they've actually had demonstrated measured traffic impact that warrants those changing of the intersection timing or the optimization of a signal. So I know this is something that we've discussed quite a bit on other projects before, and that's just an update in terms of what the road agencies have said to this point in terms of when they would look at optimizing or retiming any kind of signal change. Moving on to the next item is natural features. There are some floodplains on the site along Fellows Creek, and the special land use plans note some wetland areas also along the creeks. The areas around the creeks are heavily vegetated, and the proposed development is concentrated on the west half of the site, with the floodplains, wetlands, and many of the woodlands located north and east of the site being preserved. The plans illustrate the floodplains and wetlands being preserved also, and the applicant has attempted to minimize tree removal based on the development footprint proposed. For the parking level will be more of a site plan issue, so the size of the parking lot and the number of spaces will be something that won't be determined at special land use review, but it's important to discuss it at this point with the information known. According to Article 4 of the zoning ordinance, for religious institutions or other places of assembly, the minimum parking requirement is 1 space per 3 seats. So based on the capacity of 508 seats, there are 170 parking spaces proposed. The zoning ordinance allows a maximum parking of 10% over the minimum, which comes out to 187 parking spaces maximum that's allowed by the zoning ordinance. The proposed parking level is at 358 parking spaces, which is almost twice the maximum of the zoning ordinance. And there are a couple of reasons for that. One is that although the plans note that the special land use application does not include daycare or private school uses, and these uses are also special land uses in the R1 district, but the applicant would like to be able to plan for those uses in the future if they apply for them and are approved. The second reason, and probably the most important reason, is that on in the traffic study on page 21, it anticipates 523 trips during the Friday afternoon prayer peak hour, with 350 entering and 173 exiting. Therefore, Mecca wants to ensure that there is sufficient parking for the entering vehicles. And so what they've anticipated is 523 trips in their traffic study to try to give a realistic amount of trips that we would see on a Friday afternoon during the peak prayer time. So we've accepted that in the traffic study in terms of the traffic impact and the mitigation. So now putting those trips on top of the site itself and in the parking area, having 358 parking spaces may be warranted during a peak Friday prayer time in order to avoid parking in any of the drive aisles or alongside the road or anywhere else where parking spaces would not be ideal and could block traffic. Again, something we can look at during site plan review and at that point make the decision, but based on the trip generation that's shown in the traffic study, the preliminary indications are that the proposed parking is most likely warranted for the capacity anticipated on Friday afternoon. Next, for the architecture, the plans show that the building will have 48.2% brick and 14.5% burnished block. Architecture is something where we'll have final decisions at the point of site plan review, but these are just some of the initial calculations on the building that's proposed and the facade elevations. For the landscaping and screening, the landscape plan is designed to comply with the requirements of Article 5 of the ordinance for the frontage landscaping, the parking lot landscaping, the general site landscaping, and the buffer landscaping on the northeast and south sides with a few minor exceptions. There's a berm that's required by the zoning ordinance. That berm is shown on the south side of the site with the required number of trees, with the exception on the south side. Some of the deciduous species have been replaced with evergreen species to provide more screening effect. On the east side, there is the presence of the creek, and so grading for a berm would probably not be helpful there because we'd be grading in an area where we don't want to see more grading on that east side of the site. And also it would have minimal screening effect to the residential development to the east because the area is already heavily vegetated. So having a landscape berm included on the east side of the parking lot would have no effect. Finally, on the north side of the site, there is some steep topography there. So creating a berm within that steep topography might not have very good impacts on the site itself or the development or the surrounding uses. So the applicant is proposing to still plant as many trees as possible, but there will also be some mature trees and vegetation preserved along that northern boundary. So that'll be something we get into more detail on at the time of site plan review, but there are landscape plans included in the plans that are prepared by a landscape architect. So they're very detailed, and they give us a good indication of what's proposed and something that we can tweak as we get to the site plan review. Also on the north side of the site, there's a retaining wall because of the steep topography and to hold the grade to be able to do the parking on that north side. There's a retaining wall proposed there. So that will allow for that grade to take place and to minimize grading within the buffer area on the north side. Next are sidewalks. There is a sidewalk along almost the entire frontage of Ridge Road, with the exception of a small area on the north side of the site, north of the drive. The reason is there's the bridge that goes over Fellows Creek, and there's a guardrail to the north of the site. So it's difficult to get a sidewalk to extend all the way to the northern lot line. So our engineers have reviewed that, and they understand the difficulty there. Their recommendation is just that there's a sidewalk end sign at the northern end, just so that there's an indication of a sidewalk termination. And if there's ever a project to bring a sidewalk across the creek to the north, that could be tied into the Mecca site. For the lighting itself, at special land use review, a lighting plan is not required. However, the applicants have included a lighting plan and a photometric plan. That lighting plan does comply with the zoning ordinance in terms of giving the minimum levels of illumination in the parking area and along the walkways. And it also meets the lighting requirements at the lot lines. The zoning ordinance doesn't allow more than 0.1 foot candle at a residential lot line, and the photometric plan indicates that those lighting standards will be met as designed. And then the last item I want to mention is for stormwater management. East of the parking lot, there's an underground stormwater management system that's proposed. And the proposal would be for the stormwater from the building and parking area and impervious surfaces to run to the underground stormwater management system, and then that would outlet to the creek. So the stormwater management is something that is under the jurisdiction of Wayne County, but on a special land use plan, a stormwater management plan is not always a requirement, but those plans are shown on this plan to indicate feasibility for stormwater management. So with that, we look at the special land use review standards of section 27.03C of the zoning ordinance. And based on the criteria that are noted in this section, we find that the use does meet the special land use criteria of the zoning ordinance. Some of the highlights of the list include that the proposed religious institution will be compatible with adjacent residential land uses and meet the minimum setbacks of the district. It will preserve natural features and increase evergreen buffering on the northeast and south sides. Religious institution uses are compatible with the principles and objectives of the master plan. The very low density residential classification for the site is similar to some of the surrounding sites. And although religious and non-residential uses are not specifically addressed in the very low density residential class in the master plan, the R1 district does correspond to the very low density residential class. And the R1 district includes many non-residential uses, including religious institutions as special land uses. Next, the proposed use will be adequately served by essential public facilities. The site will have direct access to North Ridge Road, a paved county road with 2 driveways. The site will have sidewalk along the frontage. The proposed use is not expected to be detrimental to public safety, health, or welfare. And the traffic impact study indicates that the levels of service can be maintained and in some cases improved based on the traffic engineer's report and Canton's traffic engineering consultant's review. We believe the proposed use would enhance the surrounding environment by preserving existing natural features and designing the buffer landscaping to increase screening effects. We don't believe the proposed use would unreasonably interfere with or discourage the appropriate development and use of adjacent land and buildings. In many areas of Canton, religious institutions abut residential areas and are often compatible if they comply with the zoning ordinance standards for lighting, noise, et cetera. Some non-applicable items are the location of the proposed use will not result in a residential use being surrounded by a non-residential use. And finally, the proposed use is expected to enhance the well-being and welfare of the township and not expected to result in excessive duplication of a use. This last item is more of an economic, commercial item, so it's mostly non-applicable, but something we wanted to make a finding on in this regard. So with that, staff's recommendation is approval of the special land use for a religious institution at 6200 North Ridge Road on the subject parcel as illustrated on the special land use plans for the reasons stated in our analysis, subject to the items noted in our staff review being addressed and or corrected at the time of site plan review, and also subject to all state, county, and township requirements. So that concludes our staff report, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Patrick. I will entertain a motion for a public hearing in a moment, but I just wanted to say there are a lot of people here this evening. I appreciate everyone coming out. We do want to hear your opinions and your thoughts and your feedback on this proposal. I also want to state for the record that we got a whole lot, as I mentioned earlier, we got a whole lot of comments via email directed to us, and we saw what those had to say. We all got those earlier today, so we weren't able to read every single one, but we did see how many were opposed and how many were in favor, and we read got the gist of all of them as best we could. I also want to point out, for those of you who are not aware, the way that the project, the way that the process works, and I hope that you can understand and respect our process, is that we are governed by state law, federal law, local law, and our local law is called the zoning ordinance. And Patrick mentioned, you know, he's reviewing things in relation to what it says in our zoning ordinance. And what our zoning ordinance says for residential areas, religious uses are permitted as a special land use. And that's what the process that we're going through this evening is to look at whether or not the special land use criteria are met. And the reason that they do that is just so that technically, I don't know that are religious uses permitted by right in other zoning districts?
I think in some of the commercial districts they may be.
Okay.
And possibly in some of the industrial districts.
Okay. So in residential districts, if you want to build any kind of religious facility, it is considered a special land use. But there are other parts of the township where those could be built as a by right process, where we wouldn't have to do the special land use process that we're doing this evening. We want to be fair. You know, we are a community of many people, many backgrounds. So we're going to listen to the comments. But I do ask that if you have anything to say, I want to keep this orderly. I request that you raise your hand and wait to be recognized to move up to the podium. When you get to the podium, please begin by stating your name and your address for the record, because we want to have, this is a public comment period, but we need a public record of who's making these comments. If you will have maximum 3 minutes to speak. Each person can speak for 3 minutes. Please give us your comments, your opinions, or your questions. If you have questions, we will make a note of those and we will respond to all of the questions at the end of the public comment period. So once all of the public comments are heard, we will refer back to the list of questions and we will ask Patrick or the project sponsor to respond to those questions. And then also, we ask that you stay on topic. We also request that if someone else has already made your point, please understand that we heard them and that we don't need to hear everybody's same point. You know, if you have something new to talk about, that's very helpful. But if somebody has already made your point, thank you very much. We appreciate that we are hearing what you say. So please understand that. Also, finally, this process, this is the Planning Commission that you're at tonight, as you probably know. But the final decision on the project, going forward or not, is actually made by the Board of Trustees. So we make a recommendation to the Board of Trustees, and our recommendation is based on the law. It is not based on public opposition or public comment in favor. We do listen to that, we understand it, and we appreciate it, but we do have to make our decision based on what the law actually says. So when I may say this later, I will ask that you respect that process. It is a process. It is written out in law so that we can follow that law and make sure that we're applying the law fairly in the way, technically, I guess we aren't really applying the law as a group, but we want to abide by it for everyone's sake. We have a lot of people here. I'm going to request, in the interest of moving on, I did not get a lot of sleep last evening. I always get tired before the end of these meetings. That's too much information. But I would request that please don't applaud comments. Sometimes people will break out into applause. It just delays the meeting and makes it go longer. And we all want to go to bed tonight, I'm sure. Anyway, and we will not directly address anyone's questions during the public comment period. We will not, the Planning Commission members, the staff, will not engage in a back and forth dialogue, but we will respond to it later. So anyway, having said that, does the project sponsor want to add anything to what Patrick had to say? And I'll entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So move.
All right.
Support.
We have Commissioner Lee making the motion and Commissioner Weber supporting. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Sirs, thank you for coming.
Yeah, my name is Ghassan Abdenour from JV and Associates. I'm the architect on the project. I'm here to answer any questions you have through the project. But first, I want to say thank you for the township, for the planning department that's been helping us, and the engineering department through that process. We went to so many meetings with you guys. We heard a lot of things, and you had some worries about the traffic. So the last year and a half, we went through the process. We went with Wayne County. We went with Wade Trim. We went with MDOT, and we went with the engineering department here in the township. And finally, we did exactly what they want us to do. So we worked on the process. We changed the way the traffic is, the entrances, the exiting, and everything needed for us. So we're trying here to say that we're working with you, and we like to listen to you and tell us what you need, what we need to do so we can get this approval. We're here to work with the township. They've been very helpful for us, especially Patrick. I mean, maybe I called him maybe 100 times, but he says it's okay, so we can work together. So I'm here just to say that we're with you, and we'd like to hear from you your concern. But traffic reason, we just went through it for a year and a half. It was a long approvals process, a lot of meetings, and a lot of payments. That's something different. But we like to say that we met it, and we're happy that the township finally are comfortable with it. And if you have any other questions, we'd love to answer any questions you have. Site plan approval for the building, we'd like to work with you. We met most of the code and requirements for the setback. I think the only thing that we didn't 100% agree with Pat is the height of the minaret, but we can work on that. And if we have to get variance for that, we will. If not, we'll lower it, and we'll be very happy neighbors with you guys. And beside this, I think we met most of the requirements, but I will answer any questions you have.
Thank you, sir.
God bless you. Thank you.
My name's Hassan Beydoun. I am here on behalf of Mecca. I'm also the treasurer and one of the founding members. I want you all, thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here today. I want you all to know that we are not outsiders. Majority of us here are Canton residents. I've been a Canton resident since '99. We didn't come from the outside and wanted to build here in Canton. We love the diversity that Canton has, and we see the need that our community here needs a new mosque center. And we're looking for a place to gather, congregate, pray, and for the younger guys, maybe have a little fun. And I really would appreciate today a vote on this for approval so that we can get this project moving forward. We have gone above and beyond to address the majority of everyone's concern. We've listened to the planning commissioners here at very numerous meetings that we've had, and we made changes to our plans so that they are acceptable to you guys as well. So not only did we take the engineers and the traffic guys' concerns, we also listened to your concerns and wanted to make sure we address all that. And I want to thank you for the opportunity, and hopefully we'll get an approval tonight.
Thank you, sir. All right, very good. So we have, did we vote? We did vote.
Yes, we
Okay,
did.
okay.
Public hearing's open.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, I'm going to start over here, sir. Yes, could you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Good evening. Daoud Walid, resident of Canton for 9 years, 2424 Bark Hill Road. I'm also the executive director of the Michigan chapter of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is a civil rights organization for the Muslim community. Right off of Haggerty and I've come here to show my support, firstly as a Canton resident, for the Mecca Community Center, and also that Mecca Community Center is also constituents of CARE Michigan. I'm very glad to hear Mr. Sloan's report and also your comments, Dawn, in regards to recognizing that this decision is based upon the law. And also in regards to the law, just to give a friendly reminder about ARLUPA, the Religious Land Usage and Institutionalized Persons Act, which I know all of you have been trained upon, and that sometimes people in the community will hide their animus towards religious minorities by bringing up things such as, well, the mosque will negatively affect traffic, even though you have a traffic report that says the opposite. Oh, it would negatively change the character or even complexion of the community, when we know that's not the case. This is code language. Or even say, oh, that the mosque will bring down our property values, when in fact, everywhere mosque goes, the property values actually increase. So we've just come to remind you of these realities. CARE Michigan is the most experienced civil rights organization in Michigan when it comes to these issues of ARLUPA. And we are always thankful for the Canton community and for this planning commission and for the cooperation of the city officials. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Najah Bazzi. I live at 282 Woodward, obviously Canton, Michigan, 48188. And I've been a Canton resident for over 30 years, but my brother sitting in the front row there has been a Canton resident since it was all farmland. So I am here just to say that, first of all, this is a city that has not only been an honor to live in, but it's a city that's also honored me as one of your Canton heroes for being a person of pluralism and a person with an open heart to all of our neighbors. I think the one thing that I love most about this city is its pluralism, its ability to hold all of us. And Mr. Sloan, you reflected in your report on seconds. And I think that tonight is a very major milestone for our city because it is about the second that's in our heart, to embrace one another as neighbors, as friends, and as family, and to nurture a community that I want to see my grandchildren to continue to grow in, with a mosque that is open not only to this country's values, but to the religious values that we aspire, which are inclusiveness. We promise to be the best of neighbors, and I hope that we will continue to work together side by side with all of the neighbors here and continue to be what we call Cantoneers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else? In the back, ma'am?
Good evening.
Good
My
evening.
name is Maya Mortada.
I am a Canton resident for now 2.5 years, living at 2035 Hickory Ridge. I am a pediatric nurse practitioner and a former director of health services at the Zaman Community Health Center. But above all, I'm a proud mother of 4. While I don't typically speak about myself, I'd like to briefly share a part of my journey. At 18, I get nervous speaking.
We understand.
I was uncertain about my path, searching for meaning, direction, and a sense of belonging. That's when I found a youth group at my local mosque, which became a turning point in my life. It is there that I discovered mentorship, community, and purpose. It was also there where I met Najah Bazi, my mentor and a guiding force in my life, whom I consider a second mother. For the past 5 years, I've worked to build the health services at Zaman, who she's the founder of, to serve underserved and uninsured patients. And just as I found guidance and purpose in my youth, I've now found that same gift for my children through Mecca. Centers like Mecca are vital. They inspire, guide, and uplift our youth, something that is more important than ever. As parents, we face countless challenges, creating safe, nurturing spaces for our children, which is essential for our well-being and future. I understand there may be some current concerns or differing opinions about the project, but I believe that as a community we can come together and find common ground and recognize the transformative potential of a space like Mecca. So much becomes possible. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Sir.
My name is Madan Ahir. I live in Fellows Creek subdivision, 48571 Riverway Drive, Canton, Michigan. I'm not against any mosque or temple or gurdwara. I'm from a Sikh community. That gentleman also stays there. I'm not sure how many are from Fellows Creek or Antique Forest subdivision over here. Only few. I understand every community wants or every religious community want their own prayer. We had 2 gurdwaras, 2 temples in the Canton. Okay. But the problem with the Ford Road is, I don't know, Patrick, like whoever did the study, they have done in 8 o'clock or 8:30 between. There's a school bus there standing. There's a school going. I think Canton Police gave a lot of tickets on the side, because my house is on back is the Ford Road. You can see like cars are on the shoulder all day long. So is there any going to be like hours of operation for mosque or just for Friday they are using in the afternoon? Because this is, studies are different, but practicality is very different. Because it's like a small highway to M14, It's very difficult to take the left out 8:30 in the morning or 8:15 from Fellows Creek. Right from Antique Forest, people are struggling. There's a little, I don't know what is called median in the middle of that. So people need to park there in order to make a right onto Ford Road, like towards the 275. Same way, it's towards M14. Did you guys looked at whoever the traffic study people? And the other question, I know I have 3 minutes only. On the back, is this going to be surrounded by like any fence or something? Because down the road, there's going to be kids, daycare and all those stuff to stop like kids like walking further down. There's a creek, there's a other housing area.
Okay. Like I said, we're going to make a note of your
So
questions
these are
and answer
like,
those.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure like whoever did the study, they did it early morning, afternoon, evening. This is very practically, out of everybody, probably 100 people here, 5 people lives in these subdivisions. They don't know this practicality, As somebody says like the mosque will raise the price of the house, probably my house will go 100,000 more, up. That's not the way, supposed to be. So think about this, like wherever you guys are living, hey, how many turns you have to make, like how many 10 minutes to wait for the left turn or right turn?
Okay.
So thank you. Thank you
Thank
for the
you.
time.
Thank you for your comments. Sir with the jacket.
Good evening. My name is Naveed Raza. I live at 50590 Belmont Court in Canton. I'm a surgeon and a proud resident of Canton. I've lived in Canton for the last 5 years. I speak to you today as a neighbor and as a member of this community. I'm in strong support of this Mecca project. And while I'm involved in the project as a board member, I speak to you today not as a member of the board, but as someone who lives and has chosen to raise his family in Canton. I believe deeply in the values that this center hopes to uphold: faith, learning, compassion, and service. These are the values that I live by personally and professionally, and I believe they are in line with the spirit of the Township of Canton. I also understand that new developments can raise questions, and I want to acknowledge those concerns sincerely. When this project was initiated, I personally approached many of the neighbors, and I understand your concerns. I want to assure you that I will be a good neighbor and respectful, and we as a community will be as such. And my hope is that over time, we build relationships rooted in trust, transparency, and mutual respect. I love this community. I've chosen to make it my home, and I look forward to continuing to contribute in a meaningful way. And I hope you'll see this project not just for what it is, but for what it will bring. Thank you for your time, your consideration, and your commitment to all of those who call Canton home.
Thank you. Sir.
Hello, I'm Gurjeet Jasser, resident of 6249 Valley View Drive. I'm one of the properties that touches the east side of this project. So I had a few technical questions for Mr. Sloan. One, we talked about the lighting intensity bordering residential areas. And I'm assuming in this project that is the south side and the north side. On the east side, the residential area is further away. However, during winter months, when all the vegetation is just bone dry, one of my concerns is the night lighting in their parking lot. How much intensity will that be shining into our houses? So that's one technical question. Second, I think feeding off Mr. Madan's question is the studies done? I'm pretty sure the studies that are done for this area are pretty accurate, but the concerns are also about the intersection on Ford and Beck, turning out of our community onto the Ford Road, taking a left turn, and turning left into the community from Ford and Beck. Have the studies been done in those areas? Because with the high occupancy condos on that corner, with the school, the charter school in that corner, that area is already very, very tight. Right? Have those been included not just on Ridge Road, but on Ford Road and Beck Road as well? The third question I had, give me a second, I'm sorry. Yes, Mr. Sloan, last time we had this meeting, there was a small article discussed that there is an access point from the Valley View, from the community on the east side that doesn't touch this property. But you mentioned that there could be a possible scope if that property was procured by Mecca, that there could be development on the east side of this property. I did not see that brought up, saw that brought up here today. I don't know if that's still a possibility. I don't know if that changes the scope of the preservation areas in that area. So I would like some more clarification on that.
Can I ask you for a clarification, though, because you're saying the east side, so that's behind,
Yeah, if
you're
you zoom
talking about
out,
behind.
Mr. Sloan, if you could zoom out, please.
Yes, got it.
Right. So, just to clarify, there is an access point right here. Last time it was discussed if that property was to be acquired by
Gotcha.
They could develop this area down here, which is on the other side.
Thank you for clarifying. Yes.
So I did not see any discussions on that regard today. I don't know if that scope has changed. I don't know if MECA's decided that regardless of access, that area will not be developed, and I would like some more clarification on that. That said, I think, Mr. Madan nailed it. Out of all the 100 residents of Canton here, there may be 10 people who are in the near vicinity of that project, right? I support building a mosque. I support building a community center. I support diversity that Canton has. I feel proud to be a minority religious person living in Canton, right? What I do oppose is this is a rural residential area with long, old residents in this area and putting something of high occupancy in that area, whatever it
Thank
may
you.
be.
Your time is up, unfortunately, but
Thank
we
you. That's
got your
all I had.
message.
Thank
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? The hand in the middle there, I can't see the face, but you, yes, you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Gagandeep Kaur, and I am a resident of Fellows Creek community. I live on 5844 Fairbawn Drive, and I am here talking about my community. We are a really nice neighborhood. We are pretty diverse, very inclusive. We are extremely proud of that. We welcome everybody. My concerns are more of my personal experience and what I've been noticing. I'm sure it's pretty same with all of you over here in Canton as we are progressing. So I live on a crossroad of Fairbawn and Valley View. There are school buses for oral, elementary, high school, middle school that stop right next to my house or in front, across the street from my house. Over the period of 1 month, I've been noticing that there are cars that do not even respect a stopped school bus sign, right? Where kids that are in elementary grade, sometimes they're getting off, and the school bus has to honk. Obviously, as I said, I do respect inclusivity. Is there a possibility that any further development that we are doing, can that not be done little towards more west of that, rather than, because there's already a school here. This area is gonna get super congested, super busy. There will be a lot more traffic. I do not wanna get into the further details that have been discussed about traffic, but I do disagree with the traffic study that was done. But my only question was that, is there any particular reason we are choosing this site? Can we not go further west of it? Or is it still a possibility? Because that is a genuine concern. Every day I come out of my house whenever the school bus honks, there is a lot of traffic. There's a lot of traffic that is, and it's gonna get increased with any development, be it anything, church, mosque, gurdwara, temple, anything, or any even a, shopping complex. So my objection is just from the traffic and congestion and the fact that we have a community where there are small children, that live there. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Fatima Saad. I live at 48293 Manhattan Circle, Canton, Michigan. I'm a proud graduate of Plymouth High School right here in Canton. This is my hometown. I grew up here. I studied here. Now I'm preparing to give back as a future teacher. In September, I plan to do my student teaching in this very community because I believe in the values that make Canton special, which are diversity, respect, and opportunity for all. Today, I'm here to speak and stand in support of accepting our special land use request. I know there are many people who are opposed to it, and I understand that change can make people uncomfortable. But this isn't about division, it's about inclusion. This is more than just a building. It's a center for families to come together, for youth to learn, for neighbors to connect, and for people of all backgrounds to build bridges through understanding and service. As someone who wants to serve this community through education, I want my future students of all faiths and backgrounds to grow up in a place where they are respected and seen. Approving this sends a powerful message that Canton is a community where everyone is valued and where freedom of religion isn't just an idea, but a reality. I care deeply about this city, and I believe we can rise above fear and choose unity. I know change is scary. Let's show our children what it means to be a welcoming community, and thank you.
Thank you. Sir? Yes. Yeah, you. Yeah. The tall guy in the back. Good evening.
Hello, good evening. I don't know, can you hear me?
You have to speak right into it, unfortunately, so.
Well, Mecca is no more than a home, and I've been a recent
Could you please
member.
tell us your name and address for
My
the
name is, I'm
record?
sorry, yes. My name is Mustafa Sultani, and my address is on Warren and Beck. And Mecca has been no more than a home, honestly, than the community that I've grown to be a part of has, like, I could have never imagined to be a part of something so great. And for me personally, living in Dearborn for the majority of my life, there's always a mosque around the corner, you know? And moving to Canton has been a real struggle to find like a large mosque in certain months in the year, such as Muharram and Ramadan. And for that, it's been a struggle for a lot of families to drive half an hour every year to attend these events. And throughout the majority of the people that I've met, the amazing people, like my good friend Mehdi, I've only met because of this amazing community. You've got my amazing friend Taha, you know. These are just people that you meet from this amazing community that is always going to stay growing, you know. And this is kind of, you know, 50-50. I didn't really prepare for this. So there's no more to say other than Mecca is the most peaceful thing. You know, Islam is the number one thing, and I'm kind of rambling on. But, and other than, like the stats that he announced, such as the light on Ford, the seconds that are going to be added is no more than just like how Hajj Najah added. All this is all going to be fi sabilillah in the sake of God, and that's pretty much all I got to say.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, and just a reminder, I would appreciate if you don't applaud, just to keep the meeting moving. And if somebody's already made your point, we heard them. We are trying to listen to everybody. So did you want to speak, ma'am? Okay.
Good evening, everybody. I know I wasn't planning on speaking today, but my name is Jumna Faraj. I live in Canton since, 1999?
Could you please state your address?
899 Burlington Road. And as everybody was talking about, you know, Mecca, I don't need to speak more about Mecca. I just want to respect the comments that were opposed against Mecca. It gave me a flashback on why I was in Canton. I came to Canton to build a family. And not only I built my family, I was able to bring my sisters, who one of them is in the audience, and my brother. So we have a full family in here. And Canton was pretty much a desert. There was empty land, no new subdivisions, nothing. And I was the crazy one who moved here. And I loved every bit of it. I saw the growth of Canton. I remember when I was dropping off my daughter at preschool, when IKEA came and people were, you know, camping out of excitement because IKEA was here. That was okay. But to build a community center, we're against it because of traffic. I don't know anything about the study. I work in banking. I'm actually a dedicated business relationship manager. You have doctors in here, you have engineers, dentists, you name it. Everybody in here, and you mentioned the law. We are here to abide with the law. But also, we know that sometimes, you know, if we do not help and motivate and keep going those projects, and by the way, Mecca is not a mosque, it's a community center. So let's emphasize on that. It's bringing a community together. All these people didn't know each other when at one point they were strangers. Now they are family. And this is what Mecca is about. It's not about the traffic. If we get excited right now about the traffic, we should. Because every time there's a restaurant, we go and line up, and people are okay with that. So let's just think about that for a minute before we make a decision, and we would love to have a decision today where we all go home. Okay, I'm still in my heels because I just got off work. I would love to go home, and for the gentleman who mentioned the 8:30, I can tell you what, we are all at work at 8:30. We're not praying at 8:30 because we prayed at home our dawn and our fajr, and we did our prayers, and we went to work. So thank you very much for everybody who came out today to support this project. We really appreciate it, and we look forward to growing more and more projects in Canton. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir, and just so everyone knows, we do hear traffic feedback about almost every project where there's a public hearing, and we hear it about everything. So it's not just this particular project, so thank you. Sir?
My name is Charles Holowecki. I live at 48856 Wild Rose. And the thing that concerns me the most that was touched upon is that Fellows Creek currently, when there's a heavy downpour, floods throughout Fellows Creek subdivision and a little bit into Fox Run, I believe. So now that you have 11 acres that used to be soil, trees, absorbing that water, you're going to turn it into, and it's regardless of whether it's a mosque, a strip mall, or anything else. It's going to be turned into pavement, and that's going to drain directly, as far as I understand, into Fellows Creek. Well, instead of being absorbed in the ground, it's going to go right into Fellows Creek. That flooding is going to get a lot worse.
We'll answer that question when we're all done with the comments, because I think that there is an answer to that.
And also, I'd like to know, is there any other way to channel that flood water along Ridge Road or something like that if there's storm sewers that can handle that?
I believe there's underground storage, but we will talk about that, so thank you. Thank you very much, sir. The hand I can see, okay, I couldn't see whose hand it was, sir. Yes, please.
Thanks for giving me this opportunity. Muhammad Ghazali, longtime Canton resident, 7021 Sylvania Lane. I'm here to support the community center development. It's a good development. And as always, you mentioned, a common refrain at these occasions is the traffic pattern, is traffic study. So I'm sorry if I missed earlier part because I was kind of rubbernecking from the hallway. But my 2 cents would be that, I mean, Ford Road and Ford and Ridge intersection is already a challenge. If we could just add a left turn signal, hopefully that will alleviate a lot of legit concerns. I ask this request at the risk of making a bureaucratic football between Wayne County and Township, because we went through this already once when the Ridge Road was being paved. So we got the traffic light there, but we couldn't muster enough votes or support to get a left turn signal. So this might be a good opportunity to revisit that, and hopefully some of the concerns that residents are presenting about turning on Ridge Road might be alleviated. And another bit of information for the resident who are saying about coinciding the traffic rush time, school commute time. Hopefully that would not be an issue because this time would be staggered. It's one early morning prayer, and then there are later in the evening and night prayers. So hopefully it won't coincide with the normal traffic rush. So my thought is that if we could get a left turn signal, hopefully that will alleviate a lot of issues.
I've heard that comment before. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I agree, it's probably a bureaucratic football because we don't control our roads as a township, but somebody has their hand up back there, sir. Yes.
So, not a Canton resident. I'm Ahmed Hussein from 41450 Stonecroft Court in Northville, Michigan, 48167. And yes, I'm a Northvillian at a Canton Township meeting, but I'm here not because of what Mecca has just provided me, but what it's provided this whole region. It's with the new or with a rising amount of Muslims entering Canton, there's been a large amount of halal restaurants, halal markets, businesses driving in because of that. And for example, on Cherry Hill, there's a developing Saj Bakery and Greenland Supermarket opening. On Ford Road, there's an Uppercuts that's opening, which is a popular haircuts barbershop in Dearborn. And even general stores have seen a rise in foot traffic just because of the incoming Muslim residents moving to Canton and because of visitors like myself who come to Canton, go to do some religious or fun activities with this community center, and then maybe go stop by a store such as Meyer afterward. But Mecca just goes beyond economics. We've done much things to give to the city. For example, we've done food drives with Zaman and clothing drives with them to help out the needy. We've cleaned graveyards multiple times in Canton, uh, just voluntarily cleaned them uh, without any monetary means. We've held multiple community workshops in areas such as CPR training, circuit design, will writing, college application writing, and some more areas. And all of this is just from a modest rented small building that we have along Ford Road and North Canton Center Road. Now imagine what can we do with an actual place we can call our home. I know there's issues that are circulating, and each field of expertise, such as engineers, have areas where they study architecture. Natural science experts study the actual land and study how migration of water may take place. And other areas such as statistic majors will understand and study the traffic that flows. And if they make a judgment, it's not engineers' right, I guess, to critique a statistics or a natural scientist major because that's out of their field. So what I'm trying to get at is if there's a issue in one field, we have to kind of respect the judgment made by the experts in that field instead of just making maybe a blind or less educated judgment than those who studied and put years into the issue. Now, what I can promise is with Mecca, all of these amazing things we've done before, all of the help we've given to the city, and all of the benefits the city has seen because of the income of residents and visitors, if you give us this space to call home, I can guarantee y'all that what we've done is just the beginning.
Thank you. Your time is unfortunately up.
Thank
but
you.
Thank you very much for that. That was helpful. Sir, back in near the door. Thank you. Again, if somebody's already made your point, please understand we are listening. Thank
Hi.
you.
My name is Ahmad Madawi. I'm from 626 Baxter Drive. I have 5 children. 2 of them, they just turned teenager, and they got their permit. So, as you know, they're asking for cars and driving, you know. So we go once or twice a week to Dearborn. So as you can imagine, you know, I'm a parent. I rather them not drive like, you know, half an hour to Dearborn, coming back, you know, winter weather, you know. So I'm in support of the project. I also want to introduce myself, you know. I'm a civil engineer. I work on few projects in Canton, you know. As you know, Bilal Mosque on Ridge Road, a few years ago, it was on septic. So my company, you know, get rid of the septic field and we connected to the public sewer. And I work with Charles from engineering department. I also work and met with Patrick a couple of times on different projects. I also did the underground for Mr. Car Wash on Haggerty and Ford Road. I'm saying that because there was a gentleman that he was concerned about the stormwater and, you know, runoff. So I'm sure when the project goes forward and it's going to go through engineering, it's going to go through calculation and underground, and I'm sure, you know, township is going to take care of that.
Yeah.
I also did, you know, contemporary dental on Canton Center Road. I did the building. So I want to cut it short. I don't want to keep talking because I'm sure you're busy. So I appreciate if you can vote in the favor of the project, you know. I have 5 kids there. I hope they're going to be close to me. We are going to live in Canton. I really don't want to go back and forth, you know, half an hour, or for my kids back and forth, you know. We are here to stay, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone have anything to add that we haven't already talked about?
I move to close the public hearing.
We have someone here who would like to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand. Please go to the podium. Thank you.
My name is Sarah Medallion, a fellow resident at 626 Backshore Drive.
Excuse me, could you talk closer to the
Yeah.
mic? I know it's nerve-wracking, but
I'm here on behalf of many residents who fully support the opening of Mecca in our community. I've heard the concerns about traffic and safety for our community, and I like to be clear that I understand them, and I'm sure that everyone else in this room does as well. But I also believe that this should not stop us from moving forward. Every important place, whether it's this church, temple, school, or community center, brings all sorts of changes in traffic, and that's part of growth. That's part of life in the thriving city and home that we call Canton. And the truth is, solutions can always be found for traffic, but we shouldn't let those concerns block something truly good and powerful for our community. Mecca will be and is a place of peace, prayer, learning, and service. Mecca is open to all. Mecca offers a safe space for our community to come together. That kind of positive impact cannot be ignored. We should welcome Mecca and for what it stands for. Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else? Someone in the back.
Do we have new comments, folks? I mean, I don't mean to cut you short, but we've heard everything you've said.
Hi, Hussein Malad, 351 Springfield Drive, Canton. Before you close the meeting, I'd like to respectfully remind the commissioners, I think Mr. Sloan referred to Section 2703 of the ordinance under section, I think it's B, number 10.
Which section?
The Planning Commission shall review the application for special land use proposal together with the public hearing findings and reports and recommendations of the building official, which I believe Mr. Sloan did an excellent job outlining and summarizing things. The Planning Commission shall then make a recommendation to the Township Board, and I think this is really important, based solely on the requirements and standards of the ordinance. The Planning Commission may recommend approval with conditions, or deny. If you do decide to approve, you approve because I believe what I heard tonight, that the plan for this community center does meet the ordinance requirements. The law has, I believe, passed all of the studies, and so, I speak in support, and hopefully, the recommendation of this board will also do the same. Thank you.
Thank you. One final call.
I move to close the public hearing again.
Second it.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Lee. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor, please, of closing the public hearing, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, very good. Just a reminder, the public hearing is now closed, so we will deliberate amongst ourselves. We will talk to the planning staff and the project sponsors as needed, but we cannot take any more comments because the public hearing is closed. So sometimes people will want to tell us more. We did hear what you said. Thank you very much for everyone's comments. So, Patrick, I think before we go through the commissioner's comments, we can address some of the questions that were asked. So I noted down several of them. Project sponsor, if you don't mind telling us the mosque hours of operation.
Our hours of operation for morning prayer is right now currently at 4:20 in the morning a.m.
You won't be in my way at that
No,
time.
we
Thank you.
definitely won't be
My
in
name
your
is
way.
Dawn, but I don't get up that early.
Our afternoon prayer is at 1:30 p.m.
Okay.
And our evening prayers are at 9:26 p.m.
Okay.
So our hours of operation are not during peak times, any of the peak times.
Okay,
The only day that that the concern was on Friday during our Friday prayer, because that brings out the largest crowd, and we addressed that.
thank you.
And for the other question that the gentleman had on the plans never changed. They've always been this plan. We never submitted anything to do anything with the back 4 acres.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Somebody did ask also about a fence. Any plans for a fence at the back of the property?
Along the creek.
Yeah, like along the creek or at the back?
The fencing would come at a later date if we decide to do a daycare or to do a school there.
Okay.
But as of now, we do not have any plan for a fence. Most of the trees that are on that property line for the creek are gonna stay. We're not doing anything with the environmental area over there, back there, and even on the sides. Most of our development is in an open area already with very minimal removal of trees.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Patrick, can we talk about lighting at night? Can we maybe bring up the photometrics drawing?
Yes, definitely. Just find the right page here. Okay, so here's the photometric plan, and the area with the glow, it's a nice illustration. The areas where it's relevant is on the site itself, it has these numbers, 1.8, 1.9. That's the number of foot candles of light that are on the site when all the lights are on. So when we do a photometric plan, we want to look for 2 things. Number 1, that there's adequate lighting on the site for the walkways, the drive areas, that it's safe, it's well lit, and it meets that standard. Also important is we look at the lighting level along the property line, and the maximum illumination at a residential lot line is 0.1 foot candle. So they take the illumination levels, and there's a computer program that does that where the specification and the file from the light fixture goes into a program, and then it generates a photometric plan, and it puts these numbers there. So we look along, for example, the southern lot line, and they put readings there. They show it at 0.1 foot candle, which is very dim. It only goes down to the 10th, so it may be less than 0.1.
Some of that it looked like was even 0 towards the front of the property, so.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we looked along all the lot lines, the north and the south. It doesn't really apply along the western lot line because that's the road frontage. And in some areas, we actually want it higher at the drive entrances. There has to be a fixture on each side. So it'll illuminate the entrance for drivers, and it'll illuminate any pedestrians crossing for safety. So that illumination for the 0.1 doesn't apply along the frontage. And then on the east side, it has some of the illumination levels, but based on the distance of the other fixtures, I don't even think they can even put readings in the vegetation because it would be 0. So one of the questions was if the leaves are off the trees, and what is the impact on lighting? Are they going to see the lighting? And the page after the photometric, and these are all in the packet that are online, there's 2 types of fixtures that are shown. There's the pole-mounted fixtures and the wall-mounted fixtures. These are a full cutoff fixture, which means that they're designed to be downward facing so that when they're on, the light is shining downward and not out. So when we look at the light plans, we look at the fixture specifications to make sure they're not shining out, they're not shining sideways, and that when they're on, that lighting is going downward. Also, some of the fixtures, they have some different accreditations on them. These fixtures, they both have this IDA. I think it stands for International Dark Sky Association, where their association will certify lights as being dark sky compliant. So both of the light fixtures have that certification. It's not an ordinance requirement, but it's something we often look for in light specifications to ensure that they'll not only meet the photometrics, but for off-site impacts, making sure that light is focused downward on the property and not outward towards the neighbors.
Okay, thank you. We had questions about the traffic study. I think there's more. Yeah, let me address those two together. But we also have a question. We already addressed the one about behind the building. Sorry, my notes are really kind of scribbled here. So the Ford and Beck intersection and the Ridge and Ford intersections. Do you want to talk about the traffic study a little bit more? And also our relationship to Wayne County and the state? Now,
Sure.
We don't get to make these decisions, unfortunately.
Sure, definitely. So with both intersections, for the Mecca project, they only studied the intersections of Ford and Ridge, but they also studied Ford and Hanford, or Ridge and Hanford.
Yeah.
And there weren't any capacity concerns or level of service concerns at Ridge and Hanford. But we had the traffic study when they were scoping the study. We had just requested Ford and Ridge. Ford and Beck is about a mile to the east. That was most recently studied, we think, when we reviewed the Viva Bene project a month or two ago. They did a pretty detailed study, and they did look at Ford and Beck, and there was some excess capacity there where that particular development, which was 180 independent units, did not negatively impact the level of service at Ford and Beck. But this project is much farther away from Ford and Beck and did not study that as part of this project. In the study of Ford and Ridge, one of the questions that came up was number of trips during the AM and PM peak times. And in the traffic study, in one of the tables, it lists that during the AM peak time, they anticipate 15 trips, and during the PM peak time, they anticipate 25 trips, which is relatively low compared to if this R1 zone property was developed for residential use, 1 unit per acre. If there were 11 units, 11 single-family detached homes would probably generate more traffic during AM and PM peak hours. So really what the traffic study is looking at is the peak times being the prayer times and not your average AM and PM peak hour for your commuting. I did have another note here on the traffic that is a little bit more of a longer range project, but Canton Township is currently participating with SEMCOG in doing a road safety audit for the intersections of Ford and Beck and Ford and Ridge that are not necessarily related to this project or Viva Bene that's closer to Ford and Beck, but these are longstanding concerns and issues that we have with these intersections, and we want to take every opportunity to try to improve the safety and the functionality of those intersections. So again, those are long-range projects, but they are projects that we are actively working on. And also, with the traffic study, it's also important to note that one of the items that the traffic engineers for the applicant and in Canton Township were going back and forth on was refining it based on the peak times. Most traffic studies, they take their peak counts during AM and PM peak hours because they want to know what the rush hour counts are and what their impact is. That did take place, but more importantly, the traffic counts were also taken during the Friday prayer times. So the Friday peak PM for this use is the Friday prayer times, and those traffic counts were taken last September.
Okay.
So those were added to the traffic study. So that's the tangible item that we look at in terms of the major peak impact is really during the AM or the PM Friday prayer times. I had a couple of other notes on the access to or potential access to the east. I wanted to clarify and bring up, this is a relatively recent aerial photo. And so the Mecca site, I'll click on it here, is highlighted in turquoise. And the residential development to the east has a stub road. And it is possible that in the future, if the property to the west submitted an application to extend the road and do a development, that stub road is there. There would be an application process for that. But the Mecca parcel does not abut this stub. So in terms of any properties to the east, these are all single-family residential properties. For any kind of connection, the blue area here, the blue line is Fellows Creek, where there's the main branch, and then there's a smaller branch northeast. And then this area outlined in orange is the 100-year floodplain. So that would present a lot of major challenges for any kind of development going to the west side of the site or coming from the east or from the south. And then the last item that I had in my list was for stormwater management. East of the parking area, pages, I think 7 and 8 illustrate the best, where east of the parking area, there's an underground stormwater management system that is illustrated, and there's some engineering calculations on sheet 8. And according to the applicant's engineer, they're designed to meet Wayne County standards, where the underground stormwater system would take water. The water would be channeled from the parking lot, the building impervious surfaces, and that water would go underground. Before it goes to the major underground stormwater management system, it's pre-treated for solids, and then it goes into the stormwater management system. Once the underground system fills, it outlets to Fellows Creek. And
Slowly, yeah.
Slowly.
Yeah, because that is something we hear a lot in Canton is there are a lot of issues with flooding. We understand that, and we're trying to do what we can to mitigate that, not only for Canton, but downriver communities like Dearborn too. So there was one question about a left turn lane at Ford and Ridge, or a comment that would be a good idea. And like I said, I've heard that before. I don't know if there's any talk about adding a left turn arrow at the Ridge, onto Ford, or if we can talk to Wayne County about that at all, but.
Yeah, we've talked about that before. I think going back a few years, that topic's been discussed, and it continues to be discussed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Okay, very good. I'm going to start with our resident traffic engineer, Alan. Commissioner Cruz, do you mind going first?
Yeah.
And talking about your thoughts and concerns and the traffic study, et cetera?
Is the traffic engineer? No. He was last time, though, right? Why didn't he come this time?
He was afraid of you.
He doesn't like me. My number one concern, again, my concern is traffic for Canton Township. It's nothing, it's a great development. I'm in support of it. But if it adversely affects our roadways and there is a possible solution to remedy that, I'm going to suggest that. And one of my suggestions was that right now you have a bypass lane, and for an intense use like this, it's almost like a concert when you have prayers. A left turn lane is safer. And the reason why, anyone in the left turn lane is turning left. Whereas the bypass lane, someone forgets the signal, now cars are stacked and you're caught in this lane. Now you're trying to get to the bypass lane. Cars are flying by. With this type of volume development, that's why a left turn lane is safer. And that's what I proposed last time as a concern. I talked to Wayne County, and they said, yeah, it's basically the same geometrics, but it's a striping exercise. So a few tweaks here and there. So it's no more cost to you, but it has to be proposed to Wayne County. And Wayne County, the traffic engineer agreed, said, yeah, I mean, he was under the understanding that it was just a mosque. And he read the narrative, and it's more than a mosque. It's a community center, like others have suggested. It's a place to congregate. It's not just a mosque. So the left turn lane is a big issue for safety in my mind. And my other concern was coming northbound Well, let's finish that thought. There's only one way in from the north. It's that one entrance. So everyone's coming in to that left turn lane. It's going to be stacked there. So that's why that left turn lane is important. Coming from the north, the way this is configured, you have a right in, and you also have the option to turn right up further. But what often happens when you have that right turn in, cars will stack and go to that first opening. They're following the leader. So hopefully that remedies itself, that people will learn, I can go further and make a right even further. You know what I mean? In other words, that additional lane may not be used, it may not be queued initially, but what's going to happen is it's going to back up at your first entrance, and it's going to back up south. That was my other concern.
I'm sure during the peak times that you're
Could you
talking about
please
with
speak it to the mic? Sorry. Could you please speak it to the mic?
I'm sure that during the traffic peak times that you're talking about, during like maybe a Friday prayer, we would probably consider maybe having traffic safety people out there directing the traffic to go into which lanes. We added, as you can tell on the north entrance, we added that island to prevent people from making a left into that entrance as well. But we are open to hearing suggestions about maybe changing the lanes.
Yeah,
But that's
and
something that would have to go through Wayne County, and I think you
It
were
has to go
supposed to
through Wayne
speak to
County,
Pete at Wayne
and-
County at one point.
yeah, he initially approved your geometrics, but, I think if you proposed it a different way and you made that case, it's a stronger argument. And he also reserved the right to change the geometrics during engineering review. So now's the time to really, let's make a better development. Let's make it safer, And that's really my main point for Ridge Road. The other point, I'm surprised that there's no left turn light, left turn signal going southbound, that this volume wouldn't warrant that. I'm surprised at that. That was even looked at.
At Ridge and Ford, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, picture all these people going south and they can't make that left. It's going to stack, and it could be remedied. I don't know if the study looked at that, or I think it's needed. I mean, just by looking at this, So it's something I ask your traffic engineer. It's something to ask Wayne County, what the warrants are for that, because this alone should generate enough traffic to warrant that left turn signal.
My name is Jesse, and I'm the engineer, Jesse Parkinson. I'm the engineer of the project. And I'll just speak to what we've gone through. I mean, the only thing I can say to that, to speak to that, is that, like you said, we did have multiple meetings with the county. We did propose the idea of the left turn lane. The left turn,
I don't think you did, because when I talked to him, he never said that you proposed that.
Absolutely. We actually did, and we had Zoom meetings to that matter, and the answer was that consistent with the rest of Ridge Road is the left bypass lane. They spoke against it. We changed the plans. We went through approval process, and we got the approvals on the geometrics.
I think I talked to him after that. It was after that submittal that came before us, and I talked to him about it. And I provided the rationale, and he agreed that, it's the same geometrics, just striping changes, to make it safer. So I would explore that.
We're willing, if you'd like, we're willing to sit with you and Pete at Wayne County and come up with a solution that.
I'm okay with that.
So I don't have a
mean,
problem with that. So if you
yeah.
want to set up a meeting, we'd be more than happy, and then we can
Well, yeah,
include
and
Patrick in on it.
Ken's engineers should be involved too, but I'd love to be involved in that.
Anything else, Commissioner Cruz?
the other issue, you know, Patrick, I know you said that it's not easy to construct that sidewalk to the north. Well, you know, these are the issues that prevent us from connectivity, these little stops like this. And I get it that you're crossing a creek. There's ways to do it. They have prefab MDOT bridges. I just spec'd out one for cases like this. For me, I'd rather see that built on the other side and stopped rather than waiting for that development. You've completed the connection as required by ordinance up to the property line or past it. I think, you know, this development should provide that. And that's part of the master plan for Canton is sidewalk connections, especially to a community center like this. So.
Yeah, and this was a challenging area that we looked at with our engineers. And unfortunately, when Ridge Road was paved, there were no sidewalks put in at that time.
Yeah.
And I think there was an opportunity that was missed, especially over Fellows Creek, because to add something afterward becomes much more difficult. And when our engineers had looked at that in terms of where the termination would be, although the property is technically south of Fellows Creek, there's an existing guardrail on the east side of the road, and then the other side of the guardrail, there's not much of a barrier from the grass down into Fellows Creek. So in terms of a future sidewalk crossing, the future might be a bridge, just unless there's some other barrier there between the grass area and
I would do
the
a
roadway.
bridge. I looked at Google Earth. Yeah, I mean, it is a challenge. I get it, you know. But right now, you have a walk that's going to end, and anyone using that walk is now forced to go on the roadway. There's no other way, you know. It's almost more dangerous now.
Unfortunately, we have too many of those situations.
We do.
Use the
Yeah.
mic, please.
So, and I imagine some kids are gonna ride their bikes to the community center. You know, you're encouraging pedestrian, non-motorist traffic, you know, so I think it's important. Other than that, that was pretty much it for my comments.
Okay. Commissioner Janowski?
Glad to see all you guys back again. Have a concern with the parking lot, but I understand the demand uses. I see what goes on and the demands there. And you guys did mitigate the rainwater runoff, how you got 100-year underground storage, so I'm okay with that. Traffic, use of the building, that's been a point that's been brought up. I looked at the study with the mitigation, timing of the lighting, offsetting the lighting. It's probably the best scenario for the property. And it doesn't get as bad when you look at the 2029. So you guys have done everything that we asked from prior, so I'm good with it.
Thank you. Commissioner Weber?
I just want to say, I'm not opposed to this use whatsoever. I'm supportive of it. To the young lady who commented that said that we shouldn't approve or disapprove a use just because of a traffic or flood water or anything, we unfortunately don't have the luxury of looking at these projects in a vacuum. We have to look at the big picture and see how they affect the whole community and particularly the immediately surrounding community. My colleagues on this commission have heard me talk ad nauseum about traffic on Ford Road, about every project that comes through here, and I hate it. I hate that we can't seem to make anything happen on Ford Road. And while ultimately I'm going to vote to approve this project because I know we can't do anything about Ford Road, or at least that's what we're told. And I know there's conversations with the county and the state, but yet nothing ever happens. I am very concerned about the level of traffic that'll be spilled out down to Ford Road, and you've put it out there already. You're probably going to come before us with a school and a daycare center, and that's going to be a even more steady flow of traffic. And given the traffic that I observed coming out of that charter school, I think it's potentially a disastrous situation. And Ford Road is gonna get developed further. And we just seem to keep adding to the problem. And we don't get support from the county, we don't get support from the state. Yeah, I'm all for your use. I think the building itself looks wonderful. And I hope it's a success for you. But please don't interpret our comments negative about traffic and flooding and that sort of thing as veiled ways of us trying to keep your use out of the community. Somebody spoke about that earlier in the public hearing as if those comments would be used to try and keep this type of a use from coming into our community. I think there's nothing further from the truth, at least from this commission and this administration. So anyway, I wish you luck with it. I wish there were better ways to address the traffic situation, but as Commissioner Janowski said, I think you've done everything you've been asked to do. I would agree with Commissioner Cruz and some other people that I do think there needs to be serious consideration putting a left-hand turn signal at Ford and Ridge Road. I'm very skeptical about the traffic study, but I'm not a traffic expert. I just know what I see when I drive Ford Road, and it's not good. But anyway, I appreciate everyone coming to the meeting tonight and making their comments, as well as to all those people who have submitted comments online. We heard them all. We read as many of the ones as we could. But anyway, I wish you well with it.
Thank you. Commissioner Eggenberger?
Thank you. I also want to thank all of you for coming. I know that this is not what everybody wanted to do on a Monday night, but we appreciate you coming out. And really, we meet twice a month, so, you know, if you had a good time, you can come back.
Bring snacks.
Always welcome. I think this is a great project. I really thought it was wonderful how many of you talked about what a community you have and how it's a great experience for the people in your community, and that is one of the things that makes Canton great. And the other thing that Canton is a place with a lot of traffic, and I really appreciate the willingness to work on trying to figure out a way to make this safe. We want it to be safe for everybody that's attending the mosque. We don't want there to be accidents. We don't want people to get hurt. So I appreciate you working with them to try to figure out how to make this as safe as possible.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate you coming, as she said. I'm supportive. One thing that we found out, and I think Patrick alluded to it, was we have to have it broken before the county will step in and do the traffic that they need to do. It has to actually break. So you probably have to take this energy you have now when the thing breaks and get it to Wayne County, and they'll finally say, we need traffic light, we need all these other things. But we found this in other areas. This isn't the only one. We see it all the time. Rest of Ford Road is the same thing. So we have this issue with traffic. We have this issue with water. I understand we're working with the Army Corps of Engineers for the whole area. So this is not local to you, but it is all over the place. I didn't know it was this bad till we started seeing all these cases and developments coming through. So do your due diligence on that too. I mean, let people know your voice. The other thing that I have is, in all due respect, because I saw this as one of the comments, there was a comment that you will have a call to prayer on a PA system. Is that true in this area?
There's a call to prayer on what?
No, it said in one of the...
On a loudspeaker.
Yeah, would you have a call to prayer?
No. No,
Okay,
not on a PA
wondered-
system.
I'm checking facts now. Someone said it. That's why I'm asking. So I say this out of
That was in-
respect.
that was in one of
to
the
find out
letters
if
of
this is
opposition.
true. And that's not true, right? Thank you. That's all I had.
No?
Okay. No call to prayer. Okay, good. Thank you. That's it.
Anything else? Okay. Well, I appreciate everybody coming out too, and one of the things that you all highlight is just the wonderful diversity we have in Canton, and I'm in support of this project as well. So I appreciate the negative comments too. You know, I appreciate what people are concerned about. I'm concerned about all the same things, and, but we are limited as to what we could do by our legal process and the process of approving plans, and I want to see this successful. So I will entertain a motion by the commissioner.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, Commissioner Weber?
I move to recommend approval of the special land use for a religious institution at 6200 North Ridge Road on parcel number 031-9900-07-000 as illustrated on the special land use plans, as the application meets the special land use criteria of section 27.03C of the zoning ordinance pursuant to the information and plans provided and staff's analysis of section 27.03C. Subject to the items noted in this review being addressed and are corrected at the time of site plan review and subject to all state, county, and township requirements.
All right.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber and support by Commissioner Lee. It's a popular combination this evening. Any further discussion?
So after this, what's the next steps?
The next steps are that if the motion is adopted, then the application will proceed to the Township Board of Trustees for final action on the special land use application.
And then we still get review of the site plan.
That's correct. After special land use, if the special land use is approved by the board, then the applicant will come forward with the site plan application. I assume the plans will be very similar to the plans that are in the packet this evening. It includes most of the site plan details that we look for in the ordinance, and we made a lot of findings in our letter because if the details are there, we'll comment on them. So it'll be a similar process of site plan review. Will be a lot more detailed with a lot of the technical items like landscaping and lighting. And although there will be public comment available at the site plan meeting, there will not be a separate public hearing or notice for site plan.
Can
And
I ask
then,
a question real quick, Patrick? And I didn't make it a condition to the motion, and I don't necessarily think it needs to be, but can we at least bug the county again to consider what Commissioner Cruz said about a left-hand turn lane in front of the development and the left-hand turn signal at Ford and Ridge Road? I mean, I'm kind of a believer that the squeaky wheel eventually gets addressed, but I know these folks will be back before us again for site plan review. Between now and then, maybe we can get some more feedback from the county on that. And like I said, I'm not going to make it a condition to the approval, but I just think it's too important to just let it go.
I think that really needs to be driven home by the applicant, and the township supports the applicant because.
Along those lines, Commissioner Cruz, you obviously all are very supportive of this project, and you've come together to support this project. And you obviously have a fairly loud voice in the community. Whether you believe that or not, I don't know. I think you could use that energy and direct it at the county as well. And like Commissioner Cruz said, know that I believe the township would support those efforts as well. I think in the long run, it benefits not only your development, but the community as well.
And your users.
Yeah, your users, that's much safer. Yeah. All right, so we have a motion and support. Commissioner Eggenberger, could you please call the vote?
Sure. Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Commissioner Eggenberger? Yes. Commissioner Janowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
Commissioner Chairperson Zuber?
Yes, so passes unanimously. Congratulations. We wish you the very best. Yeah, we're going to adjourn for a couple minutes to allow everyone to leave.
Can I get your copy?
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, what? Oh, thank you.
yes.
Thank you.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
I complain about Ford Road all the time.
I live here before it was.
Well, so did I.
did you?
I didn't grow up in Canton. I grew up down the road. I didn't in Canton, but I remember when it was.
Thank you.
Yeah. We're just. Yeah. Thank you for coming.
Have a good night.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your conversations outside if you don't mind, because we still have more business to conduct.
Tell you where are here all the time. It is interesting, isn't it?
Thank you. I hope so.
I mean, it's all their members that, could get hurt.
Thanks for coming. Thank you.
You know, yeah, keep coming. It's good to learn about the country. Go ahead, ask him to keep moving.
Folks,
Please
keep moving out into the hallway.
We do have more business to conduct, so thank you very much for your understanding.
Welcome to stay. Remember, it's always interesting.
It's always fun here. Nothing better you can do on a Monday night. Melissa McLaughlin used to say that. Just can't think of anything better to do on a Monday night. All right. Oh. Oh, good. All right, we're reconvening. So, next item on our agenda. Uh-oh.
We need our plan.
Yeah.
Like Halloween.
All right, we're going to continue on with our meeting this evening. Our next item on the agenda is Canton Medical Center, and the item number is 036 ZCC 8639 and 036 ZCC 8640. Canton Medical Center, consider parking modification on parcel number 036-99-0006-715, also known as 5773 North Canton Center Road. This property is located on the west side of North Canton Center Road between Hanford and Ford Roads. Proposed parking modification. Patrick, tell us all about it, please.
All right. Thank you.
Please be brief.
I'll do my best.
We all want to go.
Three-word summary.
When the original plan for this site was approved in 1993, the 3,600 square foot building was approved for medical office use and had 18 parking spaces. And over the subsequent years, I'm not sure what year, there were 2 spaces removed on the southwest part of the site to allow for a drive south of the site to get to a dumpster enclosure area. So the parking was reduced, and for medical office, this would have been a nonconformity. Medical office requires 1 space per 200 square feet. General business office is 1 space per 250 square feet. The last several years, the predominant use has been business and professional office, so parking has not really been a concern with the zoning ordinance. The applicant proposes to use the building fully for a medical office and for an accessory pharmacy, which according to the ordinance requires 18 parking spaces. And currently there are only 16 spaces. So the applicant is asking for a reduction in accordance with 4.01C6 of the zoning ordinance to allow for fewer spaces and to allow the existing 16 spaces to service the medical office use for the entire building. Staff's recommendation is approval. We looked at the parking generation manual, the 6th edition by the Institute of Traffic Engineers, and looking at the average parking in the 85th percentile based on 41 different parking studies. The parking demand based on that analysis was less than 16 spaces for a 3,600 square foot medical facility. Also, in reviewing several dozens of aerial photos over the last 10 years in Canton at different medical facilities, we find that the parking demand is consistently below what the zoning ordinance requires. So based on some of our observed demands in the community, as well as ITE's analysis, we think that approval of the 16 parking spaces is sufficient for a medical office use for this site. Therefore, staff's recommendation is approval pursuant to section 4.01C6.
Thank you, Patrick. Are you the project sponsor? Yes. Would you like to add anything to what Patrick just said? Thank you. All right. Anybody want to have anything to say other than anyone want to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. I moved to approve the 16 existing parking spaces for the proposed medical office and accessory pharmacy use at 5773 North Canton Center Road, parcel number 0369, or 036, excuse me, -99-0006-715, pursuant of the parking modification standards, section 4.01C6 of the zoning ordinance, subject to all state, county, and township requirements.
Don't we want to see the traffic study? Just kidding.
Second,
Just kidding.
I support.
Is there flooding issues?
No new cars. All right. So we have a motion by Commissioner Janowski and support by Commissioner Lee. Any further discussion? All right, Commissioner Eggenberger, please call the vote.
Commissioner Cruz?
Yes.
Commissioner Eggenberger, yes. Commissioner Janowski?
Yes.
Commissioner Lee?
Yes.
Commissioner Weber?
Yes.
Chairperson Zuber?
Yes, motion carries. Best of luck.
Thank you for sitting through,
Thank you.
2 hours?
Yeah.
When I used to have that situation, I usually ask if I could just be adjourned till the next meeting.
All right,
Okay.
very
you.
good. Thank you.
You don't want to hear about the trees? It's
Yeah,
always
come
really
on.
interesting.
Trees are always fun.
I'm blowing this pop stand.
Feeding in the background.
Hey, bye.
Zach, if you don't have a short presentation.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, can you,
We love it.
we love you, Zach, but, you know, the shorter the presentation, the more we'll love you, okay?
All right, so the main thing is that this is, the introduction, this is a bit different from the other tree stuff you've been looking at,
Yeah.
the tree preservation in the zoning ordinance. This is for the public trees, the trees along the streets are responsible for the trees on this facility and in the parks. The township boards has decided they want to apply for Tree City USA recognition, and one of the requirements is to have a public tree ordinance. We don't have one. This is based on a couple of samples that are provided by Arbor Day. We've added some spices and bits that are consistent with our current practices. The main thing that this, well, one of the main things that this does is it creates a tree advisory board, which is kind of a hybrid. Most of the ordinances that are provided by Tree City USA are you've got a public tree manager or a tree advisory board. And this kind of combines both because our practice is it's kind of collaborative, and this tries to follow that. But the problem is he's sitting here. You have to wait till a meeting when he's not here.
Oh.
One other thing that is new in here is it does say if you're doing work on one of our public trees on the major streets or on the campus or in the parks, that there's a public tree care maintenance license. The main idea is to make sure that folks know the standards that we expect, that they're not drowning the trees in mulch, that they're not topping or doing all these weird things. It's intended to be a very low barrier, just we want to talk to folks, and if you're an HOA and you've got someone doing stuff on Canton Center, we want to make sure that they're insured, so if there's any damage from that work that we're taking care of. In here, it's hardwired at $10, but the township board can say it's $0 or $100, whatever. But the intention is not for it to be revenue generation, it's just so that we can talk eyeball to eyeball with folks doing the stuff before they start doing the stuff. That's the quick version. A lot of the things in here that it talks about the standards for the preferred species and spacing and the different sizes, those are things that we already are doing. It's just kind of informal, so this codifies it. It puts it into word form or into ordinance form.
Man. Question, what was you mentioned $10. When you said HOA, it pops in my mind. What do you mean by that? Each HOA would be charged $10?
No, so that would be the cost for a public tree care maintenance license.
License, got it.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. And that's not for a tree, so like in communities where where the city owns the tree. Where I live in Dexter City, the city owns it. So if I do something with my tree, I have a contractor, they have to get a permit to do that. Every time you touch a tree there, it's a permit. This is intended if you're a contractor and you're doing trees up there, down there, over there, that license is good for all that work for the whole calendar year. For the year, yep. And it is tied in with the calendar year. The idea is that it's easier administratively for us to just say December 31st, it's done. It's kind of common practice with the clerk's office to have that type of a system. This has been reviewed by the clerk's office. They didn't provide any changes, recommendations on it. It has also been shared with the Michigan DNR Urban Community Forestry folks. We incorporate some changes they have, and it has been circulated internally too.
One,
You don't need to make a motion or anything.
Clarence is asking a lot of questions.
Sorry,
He
go
wants
ahead.
to be on that.
no,
He does.
no, the question is more of, what are you trying to, you're trying to have this ordinance, does it give you a designation as a city? Canton would be the city of trees, or what is it? What do we get out of that?
It's one of the 4 legs that you need to satisfy in order to be a Tree City USA.
Tree City USA.
Yep.
Is there money tied to that, out of curiosity?
Not necessarily, but if there are grants and it's between us and another community
it.
that's Tree City USA, that's favorable.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Yep. And as mentioned in here, this is a general power ordinance, a general police power ordinance, so you guys don't have the public hearing, but we brought it here since you guys have been involved in a lot of tree stuff already.
I've enjoyed all the tree stuff,
have,
really. I love that little,
wouldn't have liked it, but I did.
that little book that they gave us, that, what's his name? I can't think of the guy's name.
Lawrence.
Clarence has been.
Oh,
He's a
excellent.
tree
Got it.
guy. You were just a
No,
tree guy.
it's necessary. They butchered all our trees, DTE.
Yeah, I know, but DT did a number on the back
God,
area behind my house. Oof,
I had a forest, I have nothing now.
yeah. Yeah, they did, it's awful what they did
Yes.
to behind my house too. but-
They've done that all over. It's not just us here. My dad lives in Westland, or my dad's home was in Westland, and what they've done along the streets, and I don't know why, and I know it's money related, but they may as well just cut down the trees entirely for what.
They
for what
did behind my house. They
pretty much
just, they
did.
just mowed them to the ground.
They didn't do that here. They either cut half the tree off or a big V or whatever, and it just looks ridiculous.
We're trying to coordinate with them, so that the rule of thumb is generally, and its species varies a little bit, but if you cut off more than 25% of the leaf mass, that's when the tree starts to get really sad. And if you do the V cut, then the tree does a lot of water spurt growths through there that are not strong and grow really fast, and so it actually makes it more dangerous. We are trying to coordinate with DTE that if there are areas where they know they're going to be aggressive with trees, let's just cut it down and we'll put a shorter tree underneath there. I do want to give grace to the folks who came before me. They used to not be as aggressive because the law didn't require them to have such wide clearance zones. That's a newer thing. But we are trying to make that, because a lot of these trees they've hacked up are not long for this world after they've done that stuff.
Is it DT who dictates how they do that? Because I think it's ironic that a lot of times the contractor that I see doing the work is Davy Tree.
yeah.
And I would think that they're a little more well-versed in what those kind of things can do and not do to a tree.
I think so, yeah.
What makes sense for the tree and
There's
what
no
makes sense in a
eyeball-to-eyeball
regulatory
communication.
manner
Well, you
are
answered my
different.
question.
Zach, you're a tree guy, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you. All right, well, this sounds good. Thank
Do you
you.
need a formal vote?
No.
Okay.
All right, anything else we need to talk about? No?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Weber, support by Commissioner Lee. Any further discussion?
No.
All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you all. I'm glad.